bookworms! Today I'm going to be doing my May book haul video. I recently posted a very large Book Expo and Book Con haul, so if you have not yet checked that out, I will leave a link to that video down below. But these are the books that I acquired in May outside of Book Expo and Book Con, with the exception of a couple of titles that I'm going to show you right now because I actually filmed my haul video on the Saturday of Book Con. Then I ended up getting a couple of books on Sunday, which was really unexpected. So I'll show you those first. So the first book that I got is Frankly in Love by David Yoon, and he is actually Nicola Yoon's husband, and I'm really looking forward to reading this one. I heard that his books are just as good as Nicola's books, and The Sun Is Also a Star is like one of my favorite contemporaries of all time. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what her husband's writing is going to be like. This book follows Frank, who is a Korean American, and even though he has grown up in Southern California for his entire life and he barely knows any Korean, his parents are still expecting him to end up with a nice Korean girl, but he has fallen in love with a girl named Britt, who is a white girl, and his parents are not going to be very accepting of that. So him and his friend devise some kind of plan in order to keep their parents off of their backs. It sounds like it's going to be really good. And this book actually comes out in September. Then I also got a copy of Rated by Melissa Gray. This one also comes out in September, and this follows 6 students at an elite boarding school, and it takes place in a world where people are given a numerical value on like their social status. So if you have a low number, you have to work really hard to improve yourself, and if you have a higher number, you are a more privileged person. So at the beginning of the book, there is an act of vandalism that sullies the front doors of the school, and it kind of sets off a chain reaction, and it changes pretty much everything for these main 6 students who are the main characters of this book. Then we've got Queen of the Conquered by Karen Callender, and this is a Caribbean fantasy novel. It has the infamous snake on it, but I think this cover is like super beautiful. And it's about the daughter of a noble whose island was conquered by outside people, and she's trying to take vengeance and win back her kingdom from these outsiders. And this one comes out in November. Then I also have The 10,000 Doors of January, and I like didn't want to take this really beautiful piece off of it. This actually came in the mail, and I'm really excited to read it. It sounds amazing. It's by Alex Harrow, and it comes out in September, and it follows a girl named January who works in this huge mansion that is just full of peculiar treasures, and then the owner of the mansion actually goes missing, and then she finds a strange book that carries the scent of other worlds, and it sounds like it's gonna be just amazing. The author was also kind enough to make a bookmark for everybody, and it has like the little key on the end, and she really put so much effort into like making these doors, and they actually like open. It's like a handmade bookmark. They each have some words below them, and I'm just in love with it. I think it is so cute. Next, I'm going to start with some new releases that I got. So I have Sorcery of Thorns by Margaret Rogerson. I'm so excited to have this one for my collection. I loved this book so much. It's one of my favorite fantasy novels that I've read this year, and I seriously just adored this book. It was so good. You should definitely check it out. And just to tell you a little bit about it, it follows a girl named Elizabeth who has grown up in a magical library full of grimoires that have all of these qualities like that make them come to life, and there's a sorcerer named Nathaniel, and he has this demon that he made a deal with named Silas, and Silas is the best character, and the whole book is just like so beautifully written and so exquisite, and I just loved it. Then I have Finale by Stephanie Garber, and this is actually the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition. So underneath the jacket, it has this beautiful artwork, and it also has the little teardrop. And I ordered my copy from Good Choice Reading so that I could have a personalized copy from Stephanie, and it says, Kristen, choose love, Stephanie Garber. Then I have Ghosts of the Shadow Market by Cassandra Clare and a whole bunch of other authors, and this is a collection of short stories that mainly focus on Jem Carstairs, and this is the collection that is going to lead us right into Chain of Gold, and I'm so excited for that series. So yeah, I'm about halfway through this at the moment, and I'm really enjoying it so far. I also have Modern Fairy Tales by Holly Black. This is the newly reprinted and newly edited version of the Modern Fairy Tales series, which includes Tithe, Valiant, and Ironside. And me and some of my best booktube friends, Alexa from Alexa Loves Books, Jane from It's Jane Lindsay, and Mel from Mel to the Any, are hosting Fairyathon, which is a Holly Black read-along, and we are going to be reading one book set within Holly's Fairy World leading up to the Queen of Nothing release in November, and we're gonna have live shows for all of them, and we're starting with Tithe, which will be the first book in this new bind-up, and our live show will be at the end of June for that one. Then I have Maybe This Time by Casey West. I love Casey West's contemporaries, and this book is heavily focused on event planning, and it takes place over the course of a year. Follows a girl who works for a florist and a guy who works for a caterer, and they keep running into each other at the same kinds of events, and it sounds like it's gonna be adorable. And also, I'm really in love with the purple on this hardback. It's so pretty. Then I have Virtually Yours by Sarvanas Tosh, and this was one of my most anticipated contemporaries of the year. I really love Sarv's other books, and this one follows a girl who joins a dating app, and she ends up getting matched with her ex-boyfriend of like a lot of years, her best friend, and then somebody who she doesn't know at all, because this app only matches you with 3 people, and it just so happens that like those are the 3 that she matches with, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how it's all gonna play out. Then I have The Screen Queens by Lori Goldstein. This was basically pitched as the Bold Type meets Silicon Valley, and I am here for it. It follows 3 girls who have all won this very prestigious scholarship, and they are going to be developing an app, but there's going to be a lot of pressure on them, and they're the first team of all females to win, so they're going to be working together, but they obviously also have stuff going on in their personal lives, and just honestly, I love the Bold Type, so I'm really excited to read this one. Then I have The Kingdom by Jess Rothenberg. This one I've been really excited to read ever since I heard Bethany from Beautifully Bookish Bethany rave about it. She made it sound so exciting when we were hanging out at the Devouring Grey event that I was like, yeah, I need this one. It's set in a fantastical theme park, and I believe it's more of like a sci-fi novel, and it sounds like it has really like on-point social commentary, so I've been highly anticipating this one. Then I have the new Stranger Things novel. Thank you to Random House for sending this to me. It's called Darkness on the Edge of Town, and this actually is like kind of a prequel backstory for Hopper from Stranger Things, and it takes place in New York City, my town, so. And honestly, I think it'll just be a really great like deep dive into Hopper's character before we get the next season of Stranger Things. Then Random House also sent me Recursion by Blake Crouch, and this is Blake Crouch's next book. I really loved Dark Matter by Blake Crouch, so I've been really looking forward to his next one. I feel like I just flew through that book. And it follows a New York City cop who is investigating what the media has dubbed as like false memory syndrome, and it's something that seems to be happening to people where their minds are filled with memories that never happened to them, and it drives them mad. And then we also have a neuroscientist who has dedicated her life to coming up with a technology that allows you to preserve your most precious moments. And he and Helena need to work together in order to take down this force that is infecting people with this crazy, scary disease. Then I have We Hunt the Flame by Hafsa Faisal, and this is a new fantasy book that I've been really looking forward to reading. This is actually the Owl Crate version, and actually while I am talking about Owl Crate, I am no longer going to be doing Owl Crate unboxings. It kind of just got to be a lot to me, so I reached out to them recently and told them that I was not going to be doing them anymore, but I really do love Owl Crate. I just don't have as much time as I used to have, which is unfortunate, and I really will miss getting their boxes. But yeah, so this is my official last Owl Crate book, but I'm very excited to have it. I think it's really pretty. But this book is set in a world that's inspired by ancient Arabia, and it sounds like it's going to be very different from any fantasy that I have read thus far, so I'm quite excited to dive into it. Then I also have I Love You So Mochi by Sarah Kuhn. This is a book that is set in Japan, so I think that I'm going to love it, and plus there are cherry blossoms all over the cover, and I also love mochi, so it does have a lot of things going for it. Then I have Natalie Tan's book of Love and Fortune. This is published by Berkeley, so I believe it is a romance book, but from what I understand, it has less romance than the titles that they traditionally publish, and this follows a girl named Natalie. She comes home after her mother passes away, and she finds out that she actually inherited her grandmother's restaurant, and then Natalie sees a local seer who tells her that she needs to make 3 recipes from her grandmother in order to help her neighbors who are struggling, but Natalie is not really interested in helping the community. I feel like she'll have a change of heart. Then I also finally picked up a copy of Before the Devil Breaks You by Libba Bray. This is the 3rd book in the Diviner series, and since The fourth and final book was finally announced and has a release date and a cover and all of that kind of stuff. I felt like I am ready now to read the third book and I won't be waiting forever for the next installment to come out. And some of my really good friends here on BookTube are having a Diviners read-along. Mel to the Any, Madeline from Novel Inc., Jane from It's Jane Lindsay, and Chelsea from Chelsea Darling Reads. And they are doing their read-along closer to the fall, leading up to the release of the final book in the series. So I am on board. I think I'm going to reread the first two along with them and then dive into this third one, and I'm really excited about it. Then I got a copy of Solo by Mur Lafferty, because would it be a Kristen Hall if I didn't get a Star Wars book? I don't think so. I am almost done with my collection of getting all of the hardcovers of the adult and young adult books. So this is actually a novelization of the Solo movie, but it is an expanded edition, so it does cover some scenes that we don't actually see in the movie. So I am pretty excited to read this one. Then speaking of Star Wars, Del Rey was kind enough to send me an arc of Delilah S. Dawson's next book, which is Black Spire, and it is part of Galaxy's Edge, so it's going to tie in with the new theme park at Disneyland and Disney World, and I'm really excited because the main character here is Vi Moradi, and she was one of the main characters in the Phasma book, so I really got to know her and got to like her there, and I can't wait to find out about another one of her adventures, this time on Batuu. This one comes out at the end of August. Then I've got Stealing Home by Becky Wallace. This one I'm really excited for. It's a contemporary, but Becky Wallace wrote a duology that I love, that I have talked about numerous times, which is called The Keeper's Chronicles. It is like a fantasy duology about a girl who is a bard, so it's really good, but I'm really looking forward to reading her contemporary novel. It follows a girl named Ryan who is planning on taking over as the general manager of the Buckley Beavers, which is a team that her family has been managing for years, but there's a new player and there's kind of some sparks flying, but it's definitely against the handbook for her to be flirting with any of the players on the team, but obviously it's probably not gonna stop her. And this one's coming out in the beginning of July. Then I have The Tower of Swallows and The Lady of the Lake, and these are books 4 and 5 in the Witcher series, but actually they're probably books 6 and 7 because they're not numbered correctly because the short story collections actually come first. But I really wanted to complete my Witcher collection and get on reading them before the Netflix adaptation comes out, and they actually wrapped filming, which is really exciting. So we're probably gonna see it like toward the end of 2019, which is really exciting. I am addicted to these. They're high fantasy and they follow a character named Geralt who is a witcher, and there's a popular video game series that is based on these. But the fantasy novels so far, the short stories anyway, seem to be kind of inspired by fairy tales, which I was not expecting, and I truly, truly enjoy these. Then I got 2 Clueless graphic novels. So I have Clueless The Last Summer and Clueless Senior Year, and these are based on the movie Clueless, which I really loved. So I'm very much looking forward to reading them. I love the colors of the cover, and I hope that the interior matches. Their colorist is like on point. Then I got a book that I've been wanting for so long, but it went out of print and then it magically showed back up on Amazon, so I immediately hit that buy now button, and that is Star Wars Costumes. This book is all about the costumes within the Star Wars franchise, and this particularly means a lot to me because when I was going into fashion school, there was a Star Wars fashion show, and I actually helped put on the show, and I helped like bring people to their seats when they arrived, and because I did that as volunteer work, I was able to stay and watch the show and meet George Lucas and meet Hayden Christensen and just see all of the incredible outfits come down a runway, and it was such like a surreal experience. So I really appreciate the costumes within Star Wars, and I've been dying to like just page through this and learn as much about them as I possibly can. I also finally got the collector's edition of A Gathering of Shadows by Victoria Schwab. This is the second book in the A Darker Shade of Magic trilogy, and this is the really pretty collector's edition, and it has a red spine. There's fan art on the end papers. There's also a beautiful ribbon bookmark, and there's some more fan art for your viewing pleasure. I also got Sailor Moon Eternal Volume 4. This is the 4th volume in the series, but these books are much bigger than the Sailor Moon manga that Viz has published in the past, and they're much closer to the Japanese editions, and there's a bunch of color pages within them, and they're honestly just so gorgeous. I also got The Bride Test by Helen Huang. This is the second book in the Kiss Quotient companion series, so it's following a different character, and I'm really looking forward to reading it. It's another romance book, and I really love the Kiss Quotient, so I've been really looking forward to reading this one. I also got the Stranger Things graphic novel by Jodi Hauser. This is new and just came out very recently, but again, I just want to read all of the Stranger Things right before the third season comes out. And lastly, I got SpiderGwen Ghost Spider, and the name of the first volume is SpiderGeddon, and this is actually written by Seanan McGuire. And so SpiderGwen is obviously like one of my favorite characters because Gwen Stacy was my favorite character and preferred love interest for Peter Parker. So I was really excited when SpiderGwen came back, and I'm also really excited that Seanan McGuire is writing a run of her comics because I love Seanan McGuire's prose books, so I'm curious to see what her comics will be like. So those are all of the books that I got in May. I hope that you guys enjoyed my haul. Let me know if you've read anything already or if you're excited about anything that I may have mentioned, and I will see you guys soon in a new video. Bye!